No. Minutes. I'd like to propose that they're correct. Does anyone like to second that? Can you please show if you agree by raising your hands? And I don't see anyone who's against that proposal. So we move on to number 6. To appoint members to serve on the, oh no, we've been through this before, haven't we? Thank you, Chair. As you can see, the the panel to visit the North and South is full. If you're happy with how it worked last year, I'd recommend that we continue with the membership of both groups unless someone wants to change. Anyone have any comments on that? No? Can you show that you agree, please, by raising your hands? Delith. Do you want to say something, Delith? I would just like to propose to remain the same, yes, yeah. Delith, do you want to say something? No. Does everyone agree? Great. We move on to number 7. Review report on the Rail Local Development Plan. Jonathan, again. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll take this item in Elliw's absence. Elliw would have presented this. She's apologized that she can't be here today. You've seen this report before. This was sent out in March before we sent it out to consultation. We didn't hold a full public consultation. This is a document which would be for consultation with the key stakeholders rather than the public. If you go move on to the second page, on the first report, as you can see on the diagram at the bottom, this is the second green point there. That's where we're at on the process of reviewing the plan. They are statutory. About what's the number of the page? I think it's page 10. Not in the main document, but it's in the front report. The page 10 of your documents. This shows the steps of reviewing the process with the statutory points, and we're on the second green point today. This is the review report. I just want to remind you again that this is the baseline really, with the evidence that we'll use when we move on then to review the plan. You've seen the previous version. This has been sent out for consultation over the past few weeks. We received 46 comments and I'd like to thank everyone who gave comments. They were very detailed comments, and they were very useful for us as planning officers. So the changes, we've got the responses to the consultation at the back, including our response to those comments. And the changes that we've made to the plan are highlighted in yellow in the report. So you can see the thing that we've added following the consultation. So the recommendation really is to approve the final review report with the changes that we've made following the consultation. So I'm happy to answer any questions on the details if there are any questions. Okay, great. Anyone have any comments or questions? Brian.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, one sort of comment question, and it's quite possible I missed this. Whether there's any explicit reference in the the background papers to the carbon strategy and the need for that to be referred to within the development of the policies going forward. I know it's there, and I know that'll be covered within the carbon strategy itself, but I didn't notice explicit reference to that within the documentation. And just for completeness' sake, wonder whether it's too late to include a brief reference to that in either section 5 or section 6.
Na, da chi'n gywir, Brian, dio ddim
No,
yna.
you're correct, Brian. It isn't there specifically because the strategy hasn't been completed yet, as we discussed in the cabin group. But I think it would be a fair addition. We could put an extra sentence in referring to the content of that strategy once it's ready.
Yeah, I'd
That
be
okay,
happy with
Brian?
that. Yeah, thank you.
Diolch yn fawr iawn. Naomi.
Diolch. O'n i just
Thank
eisiau
you.
dweud,
I just wanted to say, would it be possible to include something on social housing or houses under local? I didn't see anything about that. Do you have anything specific there, or is it just a general reference to the content? Just including it in policies, like supporting social housing or houses under local organization. Yes, we're happy to include something on that. Yes. Thank you, Naomi. That's very important. Delis? Thank you. Just following on the same thing that Naomi said. Just a question, really. 2 comments about the policies with the houses and affordable housing and houses for local people. It doesn't come through from the report, from the plan, as it stands, that there's cooperation between the housing strategy in Gwynedd and the PAC. Since Gwynedd will be building affordable housing, and that's a very important strategy. And I don't see that Gwynedd is set out as one of the key stakeholders there. Maybe there's a way to develop more on that. And one of the affordable housing, one of the housing associations has said that as mentioned in the comment, that they should work more with, there should be more cooperation with Cynefin and Adra. And maybe we need to work more closely with them because they are developers as well, and they work with businesses and local contractors to build houses. I think that is extremely important, that we have those positive discussions with them. Maybe they do happen, but it doesn't come out in the report that we have before us. And just a quick question as well. Regards to monitoring the performance of the plan, is there any way, the time scales, does it mention when these adaptations will happen, what's been recognized at the moment, identified at the moment? They're all aspirational. It feels as if it's aspirational, or maybe it's within the next coming year, but it isn't clear in the report. It's easy to see. Can we see that where we're at, and have we progressed in this area, so that we can keep an eye on where we're at on different aspects of the plan? Thank you. Do you want to come in there, Jonathan? I'll just come back very quickly. With regards to the work we're doing with key stakeholders, that is happening on a consistent manner. We're working very closely with the housing associations in Gwynedd and Conwy. We meet them quite regularly. And we did set up a Eryri housing partnership between the housing associations, us, Adra, Cynefin. We meet every 6 months. We haven't met for over a year now. But with this review there, it'll be timely for us to meet once again. So there are things happening in the background with regards to meetings and cooperation. I'm quite confident that it's happening. With evidence, I think that'll be included in the annual monitoring report that you as members will receive each October, which will include the statistics about where we're at with regards to progress on housing, affordable housing, a number of houses. So that should come out in the annual monitoring report, hopefully. Thank you. Anyone else like to speak? Does anybody ever in the room? Dilwyn has his hand up, and Danwen after that. Dilwyn. Diolch, Chair. Just wanted to, we just wanted some guidance really about there's an opportunity now, isn't there, you know, in case we don't misinform community councils. We have an opportunity now to discuss this with the community councils to see if they can identify pieces of land where they could build affordable housing. Am I correct in saying that? You could do that. It's just before time, really. Oh yeah, well, I can see that that's on the second red button, is it? Okay. And on that point, we will be getting in touch with community councils to say that the process is open. With this review, before each key consultation, Ellen Hughes in the policy department has created a forum between community councils where we hold a pre-meeting with them to tell them this is on its way and this is what you need to prepare for it, so that we give them a pre-warning really, so they don't miss out on any opportunity to feed into specific points. That will will then will coincide with the waiting lists of housing associations, and or in the case where local people would like to build affordable housing. They aren't going to build affordable housing unless they have names on their list. Yes, I am aware of that. Yes, thank you, Chair. Anwen? Just a comment, really, just not rather than a question. On the Appendix 3, 102, 121, the report is in English only. Is that a mistake, or has it been inserted in the Welsh pack, or has, has hasn't it been translated yet? Because we have comment from Llanuwchllyn Community Council, and I'm sure if they saw it, they wouldn't be happy to see it only in English. I don't want the pack's name to be dragged through the dirt because they've included an English section in the Welsh pack. I take it it's a mistake because everything is bilingual usually. I did. When I discussed this with Elwyn, though, I couldn't understand why it had happened. I take it it's just a mistake in this instance, so apologies for that. Thank you very much. Anyone else like to say something? Ivar has his hand up in the room. I can't see Ivar, yes. Ivar? Thank you. And congratulations, Elwyn, for being re-elected. And you as well. I'd just like a quick explanation to how the policies which feed into the national plan crossover into the SDP, which is being formed, which is being put in place, combined John's council, which is which will be before us in the next 2 to 3 years. With regards to the national plan that was adopted after the local development plan that we have at the moment, so we'll have to look quite closely on the content of the national plan with any policy during this review. It's a good question with regards to the regional plan, the strategic regional development plan, as it's called. Those of you who aren't aware, that's the plan, the new development plan, which will be active across North Wales. Our local development plan, by law, has to consider the content of the regional plan. The timing isn't perfect, to be honest. I think our local development plan will move forward, will be a little ahead of the regional plan for North Wales. So considering its content, the regional plan, it does create a bit of a headache because we're ahead of them. You've made it quite clear as members that you don't want that you want to review the plan. You know, there are things we want to be put in place in our local development plan, and we accept that. So we don't think that it'd be wise to delay it and wait for the regional plan, because I'm not sure how long we will be waiting. So we've taken the decision to move forward on this ahead of it. Possibly that could help us to have some influence on the content of of the city regional plan for North Wales. But obviously we'll be working closely with the officers who are preparing that document. I hope it won't create too many problems, but there's a little bit of headache with the timing. But and you are concerned. Yes, there is a risk. The greatest risk is if there's something in the plan, the plans North Wales which conflicts with what we put in our plan, and once we've adopted it, that put us in quite an uncomfortable position. How do we work with the policy? And hopefully, if we work closely with the officers who are preparing the strategic plan, we should avoid that problem. But I can't guarantee that will happen because they're two separate processes with a separate democratic processes as well. So we'll do our best to avoid any problems. Okay, Elwyn? David Edgar wants to talk in the room. And then John. With the new plan, there is we can change it down the line, can we? What do you mean? Sorry. How can we change it or add to it if there's any conflict? No, not really. If there's any conflict, well, we're just in a position where policies conflict with each other. You know, as you can see from it takes 4 years to plan this plan, and once we've adopted it in 2027, that's the intention. Once it's adopted, we can't adopt the plan for a number of years, so there is conflict. There will be a policy conflict between the strategic plan and the local development plan. So I, we hope we can avoid this by working closely with officers in both plans. That is the risk, yes, yeah. Okay, John. Apologies for being late. Uh, One concern that I have is that when you have someone who wants to build the land on farmland for the family, they have to pay community sum, I think it's 60,000, and they can't afford it. Is there any way that the policy can change to make it fairer? I don't think if it's a summer dwelling, they can do it free of charge, which goes against everything I believe. You know, if somebody you've got a local person who wants to build their own home, they face difficulties in doing things. Diversification in agriculture. We're not sure if Glassdeer will come in over the next few years. It's getting far tighter, and if we want to preserve the Welsh language, you have to look after the agriculture side of the plan. They're the backbone of the countryside. Once we lose the young people and there's no money in the job, we have to make it much easier for them to build local housing to keep our young people. You know, for example, the campsites and policy. Why can't we change that policy a little bit? Another thing that concerns me is visitors car parks. Every holiday we see where where we see it. We're in a see us. We're negative on the news. This year's every holidays. They give a negative image of the park. We need to look at the policy to see this is what we've got at the moment, and it doesn't work there. We have to look at this because I'm sure that the chairman isn't happy that We received phone calls from different newspapers asking for comments. We have to move forward and look at that. Okay. Thank you, John. Jonathan, do you want to come back on that? That is a very detailed point that we can look at when the time comes to look at and we're not at that point yet. So we'll have to look at policies in detail. Just one correction, really, with regards to converting buildings into summer dwellings. Would only allow that to happen on farms because we're encouraging diversification. So you can only convert a house into a summer dwelling because of the diversification plan. But yes, they're just you'll be able to look at it in more detail over time. Thank you very much. Anything from about the parking? Any changes in that, or are we still going to be in the newspapers with cars being thrown out or anything? Any changes to that? Again, the full committee can look at that policy. I don't think it's now. I don't think we need to look in detail on the policies we're working on. Just looking at the strategic plan. We'll look at the wording of different policies over the coming. John? Okay, great. Thank you, Louise.
Field PR.
Yeah, dear, hang on. Yes, sorry about that. I had an incoming call, and when it says stop, hold, my brain goes, I just wanted to say I agree with John, particularly about the parking issue. It is a fine balance, isn't it? We want people to come and see our stunning national park, which we're so lucky to live in, down in Lucas, down in View. But it does get pounced upon that we seem to be sending out a no visitors message. And obviously this doesn't happen just here, it happens in all the national parks and the beauty spots. I've got a feeling that this year might be worse than ever with the cost of living crisis. I think more people are going to have, staycations they're called. We don't want to have a no visitors message going out there, but we definitely need to address it. So we all need to get our thinking caps on and find a way that we can do it to welcome visitors, but keep the ethos of the national park sound and safe. I know during holidays, parking is chaotic in hotspots and rubbish increases too. We need to sort that out. I don't know if the national park has any influence on how rubbish is cleared up, bins provided. I know there is a school of thought that with no bins available, people will take their rubbish home, but that's not the case always. So yeah, it's a difficult problem. I do agree with John. We need to look at that policy in particular. Thanks, Chair.
Down, Louise.
Okay, thank you, Louise. Anyone else want to say anything or ask a question? If not, we do have a hand up. Joe.
Hi, cheers. It might sound a bit, hi, thank you. Might sound a bit crazy, but when we have a tourism business in the area, cafes, restaurants, B&Bs, do they sign up to a code of conduct? So if they're sticking to the rules, they then can feed that into the clients that they have coming to visit them.
Dwi'n siŵr ma' hwnna'n rhywbeth da ni'n neud yn y cynllun yma.
I'm not sure if that relates to this plan. We do have a sustainable tourism strategy, which is created separately. I guess that should be under the action plans and that, but not in the local development plan.
Diolch.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody propose that we accept? Ever has proposed in the room. And Delith has seconded. Thank you very much. Can we have a show of hands, please, from everybody? Thank you very much. On to item 8. Coed Hafod y Bryn Llanbedr. Aled's dealing with this one. Thank you. Hope you can all hear me. This is an application on land that the authority owns just outside the boundary of the village of Llanbedr. So it includes changes to the current access or the present access. This is how it looks at the moment, and the purpose of widening is in order to enable plants and machinery to get in there. It's too small at the moment. It just needs to be widened and make it safer. It will make it easier to manage and improve biodiversity on the site. There will be no trees being cut in preparation for the amendments to the access. And there will be a loss of 4.5 of woodland, but there will be additional planting being undertaken, and the stone wall will be made good again. And it also includes the control of invasive species in the woodland as well, and it will enhance the site. There were no objections to this application, so the RECA from NRW were also happy with the proposed work, and so the recommendation is to grant planning permission subject to conditions. Thank you very much, Aled. If we can just stop sharing. Any comments, anybody, or proposal? Anwen has her hand up. I propose the recommendation, and I'm glad that it is recommended to be permitted. I have 2 comments. It states under the site's description that is managed by the Woodland Friends of Llanbedr. As far as I know, this group doesn't exist any longer. I used to be involved with them. I don't think they convene any longer. I know that quite a few have moved away. It's a lovely place to visit if you do have a few minutes to spare. It's a circular walk and a great place to visit. And then under advice, it states the area of the stone wall to be removed should be done manually. Would it be possible to make sure that local people get the work? Because there are local people or local men who undertake stone wall work, and they undertake brilliant work. And I can give you a list of names if required. There are several in the area that could undertake the work. Obviously, it's not a planning consideration, but I will pass on the details to Rhydian Roberts, and I'm sure that they would use local people. With those comments, I also propose that we approve the application. Where are we with proposal and seconded? Well, it's just been proposed. I'll second that, please. Does anybody else want to say anything? Okay, we'll put it to the vote. Everybody in favour? Can we have a show of hands, please? As far as I can see, motion carried. Thank you. On to enforcement notices. Page 139. Does anybody want to raise anything on that page? Machnoen is at the top of the list there, as you can see. So over the page, list of compliance cases, page 140. Any comments? Over the page,
Rhif 6,
number 5, number 6, page 7.
Sorry, Chair. Sorry, I was going to raise a question on page 4, but I didn't realise we were on page 4 because the translation got lost.
Okay.
Under number 11 on page 4, and this is the first of several where we've got cases that are sort of 2020, 2018, and the update since the last meeting basically just says we're awaiting a response. So how long do we wait before action is taken, where we're waiting sort of for further information or data or something like that? Because as I say, later on in the document there are some at 2018, and I know it varies by case, but it seems to me that 2 years is long enough before we move things on. Otherwise they sort of hang around forever, which drains staff time or whatever. So should they be withdrawn, or should it move on to a more firmer basis?
Yeah, diolch Brian. Yeah, dwi'n cytuno.
Yes, thanks, Brian. I agree with that principle. With some of them, there are updates that maybe are not reflected in the report, so there's work that we need to do on that. Every case is different, but I accept the point you're making. Obviously, I'm going to say the same story I say in every committee. We only have Alice, who is a full-time officer at the moment. For information, I'm very glad to say that we now have a new compliance officer starting next week. And with the changes in the structure, Jane will be spending her time on compliance now, and hopefully there will be improvements in capacity in the next few months. So it's partly to do with staff capacity and some elements where the updates are not complete. And sometimes they haven't been updated since the last committee. So we have work that we need to do in relation to that. In relation to point 11, I've been in touch with the owner, and they've said that they're in touch with the planning agent to submit an application. So we're awaiting that at the moment. So hopefully by the next committee, there will be a further update on that application. But what Brian asked was, how long do we wait for an application? Should we refuse it now or move on? 2 years is a long time. I accept the point. I don't know, Alice, if you want to come in here. Maybe it's a bit unfair to put you on the spot in general. It depends on the situation and what's been discussed with in relation to the case itself. It depends what the complaint is and the time that we allow and the way in which we deal with it changes dependent on the case itself and what the concerns are. But if it becomes unreasonably long, and why don't you just refuse it and then they'll come back to us afterwards? Yes, that is an option, Chair. That is something that we do. if the owner doesn't cooperate with us, we do start a case against them, or we refuse a planning application, or if they don't submit an application at all, we also take enforcement steps. That does happen in several cases. Brian, is
I
that an
think
old hand you've got up there?
yes, no, I just wanted to come back on that point, Chair, if I may, that I think, with the changing staffing, hopefully some of the comments may be tightened up a little bit so they're not quite so, open-ended, because it really looks quite strange that if, the last action was some time ago, and we haven't received, anything further, it just looks very, very odd and very open, and that some timeframes around that would be more meaningful to know that the case is actually progressing, or whether it's really in the long grass. That's really the point. That it's hard to know sometimes from looking at these whether they're just in the long grass, or whether there really is something likely to happen in the not too distant future. So that's all. Thank you.
I accept the point you're making, and we'll look into that. Once we have a better staff complement, we'll definitely look at that. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
On to page 5. Edgar also has his hand up. In relation to page 23, on page 7. Castell Kittum, page 7 now. Before you jump to that, can we go back to page 5, please, just in case somebody wants to raise something there? So page 5, page 6, page 7, number 23, Betus Garmon. Go ahead. It states here, June 2021, date of initial complaint. Well, that's rubbish, really. It's 10 years before that, and we don't seem to be getting anywhere with this, man. People are complaining, there's water on the road, and nothing's being done about it. They've passed it on to an agent, and don't think the agent is talking to him, let alone anybody else. It's about time this is dealt with. We're in the process of arranging a site meeting with the agent and one of the site owners to discuss the progress of the site and improve it in the long term and short term. Well, best of luck with that, but I can't see anything coming of that. Okay, thank you. We could send them a final warning, couldn't we, really? And if we don't get an application, then refuse. Anyway, on to page 8. 9. Dilwyn has his hand up. Number 35, Cwm Penmachno. Untidy condition of the property. Is that where the trailer has been parked on the side of the road? I'm not sure what site you're referring to. Oh, never mind, I'll inquire again. It states here that it's not expedient to issue an S215 notice, file closed. So this must be a different one. We've had one in recent one. So it states March 2023. So they must have come to the conclusion that it's not untidy enough to take steps. That's why I was asking whether or not that's the one with the trailer on the side of the road. I don't think this is the site with the trailer. I don't think this is a terrace. It's a different one, is it? Yes, okay. Ivor has his hand up. Item 37, Rhiwlas Villas in Trefryw. What's happening with this? I'm not sure what it relates to. Is it a home or what's the situation? It's a second home, is it? Yes. This has been in since February. So considering expediency of the case. So they've been backwards and forwards trying to improve this site. And so we're seeing now whether or not it's expedient to proceed with the case. And we'll have an update next month, will we? Yes. Okay, Ivar, thank you. Page 10.
I've got a query for page 10, please, Chair. Item 9, 2 sheds being used as holiday accommodation. Blimey. And there's no update. Any update on that one?
Di hwn ddim yn un, di hwn ddim yn un dwi wedi bod yn delio efo, ond mi allai edrych fewn iddo fe erbyn yr cyfarfod nesa i weld be di'r diweddariad.
Diolch.
Iawn, diolch yn fawr. Rwy'n arall rydyn 10?
Anyone else on page 10? One point on this one. I've raised this before. There's more planning breaches in Aberdyfi than anywhere else, if anybody's noticed. That's quite a statement to make, really. It's true in Gwynedd. There have been 700 cases, but it's down to about 4 now. But I've said it before, about 2 years ago, there are more in Aberdyfi. Anyway, just a passing comment. Page 11. 12. Kevin and 52 actually on page 12. Kevin and Merch considering expediency of the case. What does that mean? We undertook a site visit with the owner to see what the problem was. I don't have the details in front of me at the moment, but from what I understand, there hasn't been a breach, and so we're seeing exactly what the problem is and considering the expediency of the case with the evidence that we have. But there will be an update on that by the next committee as well. Page 13.
Hang on, Chair. Yeah, sorry, Chair. You're going faster than a little checkout person. 49 on page 12. I do remember this dumping of mattresses and carpets. It was quite a large flight, wasn't it? It says the September 23 to provide time for the defendant to raise funds. Do we have any indication as to whether they're ready to clear the site, or has the site been cleared?
Dwi'n deall na Jane sy'n delio efo...
As I understand it, Jane is dealing with this case. So I can't give you an update on this one.
Right, okay.
Once again, I will be able to give you an update next one.
Okay, thank you.
It states here that the prosecution has been delayed until September 2023 to provide time for the defendant to raise the funds. So I take it that the site is still untidy. Meryl, the only one I'm concerned with is Garreg Vrech, number 50. Where are we at now? No further update at the moment, but I'll push on with that by the next meeting. Page 13. Fourteen. Dilwyn. Llys Meddyg, Pemechno. Page 13 again. New access created. No further update. There is a camper van parked in there now. I've been told that it's broken down, but I think it's something that we need to keep an eye on in the future as to whether it needs to be repaired or not. If I remember, the owner David, that no vehicles would be put there any longer, that the purpose of the site was to fill the oil tank. Am I right in saying that? Yes. What they've said is that they didn't see anything in black and white to confirm that. But I've said that it was their suggestion and that's how it should be. And the expectation was that no further vehicles would be put there. And so it's something that we need to keep an eye on. Anyone else on page 13? 14? Anwen has her hand up. 56, 3 Glandor, Bryn Craig. This has been in existence since June 2017. What's the update? I can see that it's been put on the empty property management group priority list by Gwynedd Council, but it's really getting worse on a daily basis now. There are major concerns among the people of Bryn Craig. If I remember correctly, we can't find the owner. Jane has gone there herself, delivered letters manually. We're trying to track down the owner. If I find out where the person works, I'll make inquiries and let you know. This isn't acceptable at all. She tends to ignore things and brushes things under the carpet. June? With Garreg Vrech, what's going to happen in the end? Gwynedd Council are trying to do something as well. At the end of the day, who goes to the really serious cases? Is it the environment section? Who are those the ones who have the greater powers to demolish the place if necessary because of the condition? Well, it may well be. It can be any one of the two organizations, really. A section 215 may come into it. It can work, but it's not suitable for every case. It's because some people may have some problems and they can't respond at the time. It's not always something that we can do anything about. We can't, with Garreg Vrech, we did undertake some work on this one, but it's been ongoing for years now. I think there's a charge on this property now. I know it's dragging on though.
Page 15, 16, 17. Ivar's got his hand up here. Just a last comment on Nanai. Just want an explanation on the comment. We need to present more information to Cadw before coming to a final, any decision where the funding will be announced. From which pot will this funding come? It's a fund, it's a Cadw fund. They have grants which are available for listed buildings, at risk listed buildings. They receive too many applications, which isn't a surprise. So far beyond the budget that they have. But we have been in close discussions with them about Nanai because of the significance of the building and its current state, and they want to help. We have got got a good relationship with Cadw with regards to this building. We just need a little bit more detail, but the discussions are ongoing. It's quite complicated, but it is very serious because the building is deteriorating very quickly. The plumb has been stolen from the roof, and it has deteriorated very quickly. So we're doing all we can, but it's going to cost tens and tens of thousands of pounds. What are we going to do there to repurchase it, or we're just going to put something temporary? Yes, it'll be something temporary, but it still costs thousands because the scaffolding costs as extortionate. So all we'll be doing trying to stop the water from entering the building. With that, Jonathan, with the national park, will be reimbursed by them. It's like the St David's hotel, really. It's the same principle, really. We're putting a charge on the site saying that we've spent this much protecting the building. So before any renovation works can be carried out, we have to be reimbursed. The property will be sold as a protected building. When you get, it depends if there's an extra charge on the building as well. Where we are on the priority list. At the end of the day, we're trying to save a building which is at risk here. Does that include the officer's time as well? Yes. Okay, it can, yes. Okay. Thank you, Ivar. Page 18. 19.
I've got one for 19, please, Chair. Top of the page, number 70, Gwyn Llangwrel.
Yeah.
It's 5 years. Is there any update on that at all? It's quite a large building.
Dwi ddim yn gwybod beth sydd wedi gwneud o'n Alice, ti'n gwybod rhywbeth o'n hwn?
Na,
I don't know what's happening. Alice, do you know anything? No, I don't know anything about this. Again, I'll look into it by the next meeting.
Diolch.
Naw. Dyna ni. Wedyn, dyn ni'n dŵan.
19, and then we go. And then we go into the section 106 agreements for information. Can I ask something on this, Mr. Chair? This Pen-y-Bryn Penmorfa one. I think that Cyngor Dolbenmain wants more on this. The 106 matter is quite complicated. It's possible for us as members to receive training on this.
Yes, please.
I'm used to 106, transferring a building into a accommodation, but this is far more difficult, far more complicated. You have to pay the 56%. Can we get some training on this, please? Because I find it difficult to understand it properly. We could provide training, but what exactly would you like the training to cover? The 106. If we've got 106, if we have the building, a farm building is transferred into a holiday accommodation, but this is 106 for someone who already has a house, building an affordable house in a small village, and he has to pay 56% into it. I think you're looking for training on the 106 agreement itself. I don't think that's what you're looking for. You're looking for training on what thresholds, which civils cover different things. You don't want the training on the 106 agreement as a whole. That it's on the discount really. The planning process which feeds into the 106. I think that's what you're talking about there. You know, if do you have any questions that you'd like me to answer now? No, I think it's between his lawyer and the PAC. But I know that Gandon Belmain Council are going to write in to ask for more information about the whole process. Really, no problem at all. We could hold a session, a training session following the planning committee, really, couldn't it? Okay, thank you. Any other questions about the 106 section agreements? If not, we'll move on to the outstanding applications where more than 13 weeks have elapsed for information. Any questions on 162? There's quite a few things there. Awaiting bat survey, awaiting ecology information. 163, awaiting details from the agent. Over the page, reconsultation, awaiting ecological comments, awaiting appropriate assessment. 165, anybody have any questions there? Then we move on to the delegated decisions. And anybody have any questions, sir?
Mm.
169, 170, 171, 172, 173, and then applications refused. Any questions there on 173? 174, 175, and 176. Does anybody have any questions or any comments? Thank you very much. We bring the meeting to a close. Thank you very much. We have finished. Okay, thank you. Naomi? Oh, no, we finished now. Okay, thank you very much. Goodbye.